Hello, my name is Kim Robbins. I am the owner of Core Wisdom, a Pilates studio in Boulder, Colorado, and it is my pleasure today to guide you through a little bit of movement. As I have been forced to stay at home and do more work through the computer for my client base, um, I'm finding myself slowly folding in on myself. So, one of the things I think we should play with is um, getting ourselves to open, excuse me, through our upper back and shoulders. So, to counterbalance this forward slump, we need strength to happen between the shoulder blades. So, we'll just play with a little bit of movement. At the studio, we would be on the equipment, so we would be pulling springs, but we don't need that. We can totally do this without. So, I'm going to turn so you guys can see the back. And one of the things that we want to play with is starting movement from the shoulder blades. So sitting up in your chair is totally fine. And then getting the shoulder blades to start moving the arms apart. And then the shoulder blades letting the arms come back together, right? Because I could totally move my arms and not move my blades, but you want to sense that the shoulder blades migrate towards one another. And you could open as far as your chest and pecs would let you, and and then blades to take you back. So blades, arms are opening, chest is opening, spine is stable. And our core just sort of pulls in just to give us a little bit more stability. Nothing super crazy. It's kind of nice to feel the subtleties of how our body moves. It's the subtleties I find most rewarding. Blades, arms. It's not that the blades stop, but we call this elevator doors. It's just like the elevator doors are closing. Your shoulder blades just slide like flat little triangles on your rib cage together, and they slide apart. We'll do one more. Slide together and slide apart. So then the next one we'll do is we'll hang the arms down. And what we want to think about here now is stabilizing your collarbone and the shoulder blade, but moving your arm. So we can do palms, everything rotating. So your humerus and the lower arm all rotate forward. And we don't need to, push the shoulder blades down or anything. We're just externally rotating the arms. Again, core supporting us so we're nice and straight in our spine. And then we're going to move the arm bones back in space, and we'll stop before we need to change anything in the shoulder joint. So we'll just breathe in as we move and breathe out as we return. Breathe in as we move. And this could be done if we needed to. If we're not sure what's happening, you could always, sort of sense into that and do one arm at a time. Inhaling to move, exhaling to release. It doesn't have to be big to be beneficial, right? This is just sort of reversing the curve of how we have been sitting at our computers so much. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to internally rotate the upper arm and the lower arm, but not enough to change the joint, just rotating the arm bones. And then we'll pull back, same thing, moving the arm, but not moving the collarbone or shoulder blade. Inhale to pull back, exhale to release. Inhale to pull back. Doesn't need to be fast, so you can move at your own pace. And if anything hurts, we should stop and just sort of reassess. Maybe we rotated in too much. Right. Okay. And then if you happen to have, because most people in their life have been somewhere for physical therapy, if you have some sort of stretchy band, and even if you don't, we can do this without. So the darker the band, so like yellow and red, or lighter colors, green, blue, purple, gray, those get to be heavier tension. So just know that about your bands. There's no judgment of what color you have. It's really just movement. You want a little sag in between the hands. You want the wrist to be flush. We're going to have our spine nice and tall, core supporting it. And then we're just going to push the pinky finger side of the arms apart and then controlling the coming back together. So it's definitely, your arms are going to work, right? Posterior delt, your triceps, all this stuff is going to work. But we want to sort of feel that the muscles between the shoulder blades will have to do something to help us, change the movement of the arms. So it's not huge squeeze, right? But it is some, right? They're going to find some work as we push the arms apart and back. And just building strength between the shoulder blades can help us tremendously fight the forward rounding posture as we sit at our computers. Good. Inhale to pull. Exhale to release. Great. And then we will move you to the floor for a little bit of core work. Okay, so for a little bit of the core stability work, we do this lying down. You can lay on a mat, you can lay on the carpet, you can lay on your bed. If when you lie down and your head is, if you have a fairly big lumbar or upper back curve, and it's hard for your head to reach the mat, then put something underneath your head just so that you can sort of get yourself in the best alignment that you can have. If your low back is tender, I'm going to change this. If your low back is tender, you have low back pain, you might want to take a blanket, even a pillow, something, but not something crazy high, to place underneath your pelvis, not under your spine, just under the pelvis. So L5, S1 sort of area, so that it creates a little sort of tail tuck for you. And that'll just give us a little bit more support as you move through the motions. So place yourself how you need. We're going to try to get ourselves into our most neutral spine. So it doesn't have to be necessarily tucked flat, doesn't need to be arched off. Actually, we would prefer it not to be either one of those things, just somewhere where your natural curve just appears. I typically do, I like knowing whether or not I'm moving. We do a lot of work on stability in the Pilates foundations, and I put my fingertips sort of at my hip bones and my thumbs at my rib cage so that I can feel if I'm moving these things around. So from here, we're just going to play with sort of engaging a little bit of lift sensation of like starting clear down from the pelvic floor and then up through our abdomen. So we don't necessarily need to make our circumference smaller when we're doing core work. It's just more of a lift, like you're trying to keep the integrity of your spine. That's really what our core is doing. So from here, we do something we call knee folds. And we're just allowing the psoas, which is this long muscle that starts at like T12, comes down, crosses the hip, and attaches to the lesser trochanter, to bring your knee up. And then we'll place it down and we'll switch legs. Inhale to lift the leg. Exhale to lower the leg. And we're just sensing into the fact that we can feel how the head of the femur needs to rotate in the pelvis, in the socket. And we don't really need to move any of the bony landmarks, pubic bone, belly button, ASISs, right? We don't need to move the pelvis as we move the leg. We're differentiating the leg from the pelvis. So we have this strong, stable, Joe called this section of our abdomen, really if I think from the shoulders down, but the powerhouse. So the powerhouse stays very sort of taut and stable while we move our appendages. If this is feeling okay for you, and if it's not, I will say, I've got yoga blocks. If that's really challenging to lift your feet up off the floor, we could do lots of things. You could put books, yoga blocks underneath you so you have less gravity to take your leg through. You could also start with your feet at the wall and take your legs off the wall from there if that's a challenge. And even if you don't lift your feet, right, you could just lift a heel, right, or lift toes. So lots of ways to work your way into moving the whole leg. Okay, so if that feels all right and you would like a little more challenge, you could take one leg up on the inhale, keep it there. Exhale to bring the other leg up to meet it. We've just upped the ante with that. Inhale, one foot down. Exhale, the other foot down. And then change your start legs because it does make a difference. And you might find that having your arms beside you, which is classical, is a little bit better because you can push through the arms to help you stabilize a little, to be able to bring that second leg up without a lot of weight shift through the spine. Inhale, one leg comes up. Exhale, the other leg. Inhale, one leg goes down. Exhale, the other leg goes down, and then we'll switch. Inhale, one leg up. Exhale. Inhale, one leg down. Exhale, the other leg down. I'm going to turn so you can see this next part. So this one's called knee openers. So we're working again on all the stability through the trunk and moving the leg independently from the pelvis. So we're just going to let the foot sort of roll and let the femur fall out to the side. This looks like a clam motion, but on your back. And we're just trying to keep the body from going with the weight of the leg. So we'll just rotate the head of the femur in the socket. We're externally rotating sort of to come back then to center. Externally rotate to open, or I guess more abduction, but it's more rotation. Anyway, moving the leg, stabilizing the pelvis, right? And it doesn't have to be big to be beneficial, right? Even if it's just the smallest movement, because the integrity of your pelvis and your torso are most important. How much range you have will change day to day. It'll change as you get stronger, as you gain mobility, flexibility. Okay. Now, let's do one more on the left. I didn't talk breathing. Inhale to start your movement, exhale to finish. So we could up the ante again where we knee fold the leg up and now do the clam motion, right? A lot more work that has to happen through the midsection, through our core, through the powerhouse, and sort of bringing in those diagonal fibers of the core. Good. Inhale to lift. Exhale, open the leg out. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, put the foot down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, open. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. We'll go one more each side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, open. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. And again, it doesn't have to be big. Arms can be beside you. You can have the blanket under your pelvis. You can have one under your head also. Okay. If you want more challenge, we're going to knee fold the leg up. We're going to straighten the leg-ish, straighten-ish. Even if it's not, it doesn't need to be straight up to the ceiling. It can be out a little bit. And then we're just going to abduct the leg and come back in and place it down. Inhale, knee fold and straighten. Exhale, open. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Inhale, knee fold and straighten. Exhale to open the leg. And inhale to come back up and down. Inhale to come up. Exhale to open. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more each side. Inhale up. Exhale open. Inhale up. Exhale down. Last one. Inhale up. Exhale open. Inhale up and down. And then play around with a few leg stretches. And if you have one of these TheraBand things, that's awesome. If you don't, we can still do this. If you have a TheraBand, you're going to place it around 1 foot, and we're going to work on stretching the back of the leg. So we would just straighten the knee and bend the knee. And I typically keep my elbows down just so I don't have to involve my shoulders. If you don't have a band, you would just hold the back of the leg and straighten and bend. And you could use the tie to your bathrobe, a belt, a yoga strap, and we'll straighten and bend. And we're just wanting to sort of bump into stretch on this back side, right? We're going to leave the legs straight. You're going to point your toes and flex your foot and point your toes and flex your foot. Breathing naturally here is just fine. And then we're going to relax the foot, use the arms to sort of pull the leg towards you. Now, this may also move your pelvis, right? Because at a certain point of flexion, the pelvis and the lumbar spine have to sort of come with the leg. So you'll move the leg as much as you can, and then at a certain point, the pelvis will have to come with you. If you need increased stretch, laying your free leg straight out would give you that, right? So we'll change legs. Bending and straightening. And then leaving the legs straight, we'll point the toes and flex the feet and point and flex. Oh, goodness. One side always feels a little tighter to me than the other. Definitely not symmetrical beings in the experience of our body. And then the leg or the foot stays relaxed, and you'll just sort of tug the leg towards you and release and tug and release and tug. 2 more. And then we can rest down.